bedroom shadows, cloaked and haunting me, cold hand touching me, fear overwhelming me, tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes, a breath on my neck, floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on, I wake up paralyzed. Ghostly apparition hovering over me, asking what it wants to know. I'm shaking now, it calls out my name, cloaked and haunting me, cold hand touching me, fear overwhelming me, tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes, a breath on my neck, floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on, I wake up paralyzed. Mother Mary, full of grace, full of grace. I don't wanna be left in this place. I confess my sins again and again, brought down to my knees. Please, Father, set me free. I know you see all the pain inside me. Rosary, Mother, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. I this pain away. I know I stray. My soul is tired with heavy burdens, no clergyman redemption. I stand alone, my sins ingrained into my bones. Heaven or hell, where will my soul dwell? Eternity is waiting for me. Jesus, I beg, have mercy on me. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, remember me. Holding on tightly to my rosary. Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, remember me. Holding on tightly to my rosary. Rosarium, Mater Maria, potensni miuve.
Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, a good shepherd is he, the one that guides me. Though in darkness I find myself alone, I lack nothing, for my God above me his throne. All his love he has shown. Though in darkness I walk alone, in a world so cold, this is my life, above me his throne. The silent storm of chaos follows close behind, but in him comfort I find. I find still waters flow gently, reminding me in him I find safety. Though in darkness I walk alone, in a world so cold, this is my life, above me his throne. I don't walk alone no matter where I go, on the highest mountain or the back alleyways. The Lord with me he stays. He restores my soul, renewed, unbroken, his righteousness spoken. Though in darkness I walk alone.
Welcome everybody to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. This is a real reality. That's what we call it. First day of the month. What is this? October 1st. 2 new members, Rhonda and David. Thank you for that. Oh boy.
Hey everyone, how's it going tonight?
David Buckhold's been a member for 14 months. Rhonda
It's a
Ray,
trooper. He's been
is
with
it?
us.
Rhonda Ray is new. Welcome aboard. Anybody else whose name is not in green, get it in green because tomorrow is the
Members only.
members only,
Mhm.
and tomorrow will be a heck of a show.
Nice to see Risky Precision.
Yeah,
Podcast.
I see Takayashi. Still, you're not in green. Takayashi been around forever. You're not in green, man. You don't want to do it. You don't like us.
I could have sworn he was at one
Thank you
point.
for that super
I
chat.
thought he was too.
Thank you, Amy.
Sean.
Look at Amy. She's going to help
Oh,
give
wow. Thank you,
away
Amy.
some of these people who are being stubborn.
Amy throwing them greenbacks,
Hey Paula.
making it rain.
Mm-hmm. Do me a favor, folks, because of the slow growth of the show right now. We were given the suggestion by the powers that be that we need to remind you guys to like and subscribe. So if more people hit the like button, it will help our algorithms.
Yes, definitely. If you're here, please hit the like button that's right beneath the video right there.
Yeah.
It's the simplest way to make a big difference. If everyone does that, it'll get us on people's YouTube feeds.
Mhm. Yep. So there was something I wanted to talk about tonight, but I'm going to wait till the end of the night to talk about it, and then we'll discuss it. It's nothing bad. It's just some personal growth advice for people who are trying to actually change their lives and do things for the better. One of the things I believe in is I don't know, like affirming yourself every day.
Positive
And
affirmations.
do what?
Positive affirmations.
Positive affirmation. Yeah, that's it. Because, and I was going to give people some advice on that. It's something that I talked to the person whose story is coming to you today. His name is Scott, or at least that's what we're going to call him. And it's something that me and him talked about. And he's a very interesting guy. Been through a lot. And through it all, I think he has grown and changed, from what he's told me. And there is I guess you want to call it a prequel, or maybe I don't think it would be called a prequel. I think it would be called the beginning of this story. Actually starts, it's a horrific thing that happened to him. And that will be out on the Patreon, and you got to go and listen to that. I mean, it's
pretty scary.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It's traumatic what happened to this
Very
guy.
traumatic, and it led into what we're going to talk about tonight. Tonight's show, I guess, would be the aftermath of what happened to him, and maybe the cause. But it was a horrific thing that just kind of kept going, and I don't know. Here we are. But it'll be on the Patreon. And if you're not on the Patreon, you really got to join. Did you make the...
Yes.
Okay, to show people about the Patreon.
Yeah, I can pull them up whenever you're ready. Want to do it right now?
No, let's wait till everybody's in here, and,
Okay.
and then we'll do it. Get everybody in here, and then we'll get started. I had somebody in the comment section who's always been a complainer, but they were complaining that we talk too much for the first half hour. And I'm like, that's because we're getting people in the chat.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that you don't.
You can always fast forward through it.
They can't. They can do it on the replay.
Yeah, on the replay.
You can't fast forward it, But that will always be the way it is, because we got to get people in the chat. And so we give them a chance to get in. So too bad. Sorry about that. But yeah. Today was busy, busy, busy. Yeah, Bill's an interesting guy too, Kez. Kez, I see your name is not in green. You need to get it in green so you can be able to watch the show tomorrow. Yeah, Bill Schnobin is a very... Is his name Schnobin, or I think it was Schnobelin?
I think it's like Schnobelin.
Schnobelin,
Something
yeah.
like that.
He's an interesting guy, and he's practicing vampire. He was into vampirism, and he described werewolves and how they're real. He was one of the first, but he wasn't the first, but he was one of the early ones, and he's definitely not the last. There's a lot of people coming forward now, and everybody's talking about it. But here in this community, we've been doing a lot of work on that and what they are and how it works. And this could be something that happened tonight. We're talking about. And like I said, you really got to go back to that Patreon episode, and it's a pre-record. All our pre-records are going to Patreon or to
members only.
Members only. Thank you. So if you go back and you listen to that, I'll give you a little preview of what happened to this guy, and it was horrible. He broke down in the Catskills in upstate New York, and would it be called abducted? I don't know if you'd be called abducted by some people. Not really.
Shanghai, maybe.
No, because he wasn't taken against his will. That was the problem.
He went willingly.
But he went willingly, but then he became a captive, temporarily to a coven. At least that's what listen to the episode and you decide for yourself what you think went on with this guy. It is, man. The thing is, though, he went willingly. Like, and me and him talked about that at length, his whole encounter. And I told Scott, I said, the fact that you went with these people, on your own accord.
I mean, to be fair, he was kind of in a rough position. So that
yeah, but that's the thing. How many times are people in bad positions and the devil comes and says, "Here you go," and then you take the hand and you go and. Not me because I'm perfect. I don't do anything wrong, but for those bad people like y'all that would do those kind of things.
I like the rest of us.
That hand.
for the rest of humanity who is not a perfect.
For the little people,
the smaller individuals.
For the peasants who don't have our nobility.
Because if I'm out there, they know to leave me alone. They're like, "Wow, a perfect Christian," and they leave me alone because I'm so good and holy. Because God forbid you should admit that you're not a holy person.
Then you're going to hell.
Yeah, because then they point at you and go, "He himself has admitted that he's a bad guy." I think everybody should probably do that. That's probably what you should be doing, is admitting it.
All right, you're shining a bit bright right now. It's kind of blinding.
I have that effect on people.
I don't even think the lights are on in here.
I think it's just my forehead.
Just like do this.
Oh wow.
It's good for your soul. Like Squidward, I don't have a soul. I don't have a soul. No, what happened to this guy, though, is not a joke. It's not a laughing matter. And I would like to say, that it could happen to anybody, but I don't believe that. And I'll tell you why. Because he was not in Christ when this happened. Scott was not when this happened to him, the beginning of this story. He's from New York City, from Queens, and his father was he's Orthodox Jewish, but his dad didn't practice. Like his dad was born Orthodox Jewish, but he didn't practice, and his mother was Catholic. We have another friend that's like that, not Orthodox Jewish, but he used to be my roommate for years. He lived with us, and his dad was Jewish, his mother was Catholic. Didn't practice, and still to this day, he's a very decent person. He really is, but he's not in Christ. And I told him, I said, one of these days, I'm gonna force you to be a Christian. I'm gonna force you, like Misery,
as every good Southern Baptist,
like every good Christian does. We hold you down and we break your legs. Trust me, it's for the best. And you just, and then you read them Bible verses every day while they're laying.
But only the Old Testament.
And God will rain his vengeance upon you. And they're like, I need a doctor. I'm like, the Lord is your doctor. And they're like, which Lord? Because you broke my legs. Whichever one I could find in here that condones that of the breaking of the legs here. You know what? It's a work in progress. But in the meantime, let's keep on preaching the word. And Elijah said, I feel I don't know.
Allow these snake bites to heal those broken legs.
You throw them on them. I will throw thy vengeance upon you in the form of copperheads.
If the Lord don't heal you from your rattlesnake venom, it's because you're going to hell.
It's because you were bound for hell, sir. Now you got to change it into the Southern Baptist, right?
Yeah.
Before I was just Pastor Jack. Pastor Jack don't have no southern, no northern. He is just of the Lord. That's it. That is it. All you people out there, you're evil. You're all going to hell, except for me. You ever been at Six Flags in the off season and you can just walk up to the line? You walk through the thing. That's where I'm at. The rest of y'all are all in line, and they are going to hell in that line. I go to the front of the line. I ride the Shockwave. It's my favorite ride ever. I ride the Shockwave, and I ride it over and over again because God said so. Pastor Jack, don't play no mess. Streets are paved with gold. That's why I got that grill.
What about the New Testament?
Get
out of here, nerd.
Go on, get out of here.
I ain't got time for y'all worthless chime-ins.
We ain't talking about all that. Jesus said this. Jesus said that. Blah, 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 blah. You know, we're going to talk about the Old Testament, where God is angry and jealous and vengeful.
Wrath and war.
Wrath and war. That's what we're talking about, boy.
Blood.
Guts and violence. So that's Pastor Jack. He gets all into it.
Yeah.
He's got a front row seat. He's given so much money to the church and taken so much money to reappropriate for the church that he is front row seat. Leper Messiah.
Yeah, the Lord told him an exact amount of money to take from the church.
Yeah, like on the Metallica song. Send me money.
Well, you have to understand.
Make your contribution and you'll get a better seat.
He has to buy a private jet because he can't be trapped in a plane with all this evil.
There's too much evil.
A man of God.
He's breathing it in.
Yeah.
Everyone knows a man of God can't be expected to travel commercial. Clearly, you know.
He just gets up in first class, starts dancing. I feel the Spirit. Thank you, Lord, for keeping my airplane clean. I don't want to be around these people that are so evil and mean. I said, you can't do it. You can't.
Thank you, Lord, for this McLaren, so I may deliver judgment quickly.
Once again, Tony is like half. We're seeing like Two-Face.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Now he's there. Now we got him.
Notice how I have to move the camera.
What does your shirt say?
Jiu-Jitsu, train like a beast.
Oh.
And it has Bigfoot.
That is not a Bigfoot.
That's a gorilla.
It's a gorilla.
Well, I wore it because I thought it was Bigfoot.
Baptist religion. That's the religion for me. All those other religions, get him away from me. Baptist. Oh. In the middle of the production, he comes out. Now, I'm just going to say, I love this video, but I'm not loving the German accent. A little bit Nazi is probably going to hell. I'm down with a lot of the racism and all of the other stuff, but just not down with the word Nazi. That has to go. That we got to get that out of there. So yeah, I'm 99% on board with it. Just not the name. Let's call it something else. Let's call it something else. Let's call it democracy. How about that? We call it democracy.
Their beliefs are like the Venezuelan justice system.
Yeah, and then when we get that good name in there, democracy, then we can start putting out some real, producing some real good videos of serving the Lord. That's what we need, right? We all need it. And for a small donation of $20.99 a minute, you can
be a good servant of Israel. I mean, the Lord.
And so what you need to do is just give generously. It's not for me. It's the children in the orphanages and the suffering mothers. That's what that's for. And we will always take it to the church, and we will give it to the orphanages to be split up amongst those orphans. They're like, yeah, we were there last week. They're all suffering. They don't have any clothes. Well, that's because we're making them new clothes. They're all going to have brand new little oshkosh bagosh, little shorts and shirts, and they're going to look wonderful. Trust me. I wouldn't lie to you.
The Lord spoke to me. He told me this was going to happen.
Too much clothes, straight to hell.
To hell. Not enough clothes, to hell. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm teasing here, dude. I'm making fun of a pious Pastor Jack. He's a character, right? But the sad thing is, there are people like him that just think that they're the holiest of the holy. And it's sad.
I mean, if Pastor Jack, was in a church alone saying all this, it'd be one thing. But there are people who follow him. I think that's the bad part.
Yeah. It's followers.
Yeah. Like, let's see, we got Kenneth Copeland. We got a lot of them, dude. We got Kenneth Copeland, Joel Osteen, Creflo Dollar, Tyler Perry. What are some other ones? John Hagee.
Tyler Perry.
Yeah, he's like the mega church guy now.
Tyler Perry, the black gay guy?
Yeah, the one who dresses up in dresses and fat
He's
suits.
gay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's why he plays Medea.
Yeah, but I'm not just talking about that. No, he's been accused by like dozens of men of sexual harassment.
Yeah, he's
Wow.
got in big trouble.
Holy crap! And now he's a big church guy
Mhm.
until the scandal hits, until something happens with him. Yeah, we'll see. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Wedge, exactly. Laughing my A off. Offshore bank accounts for the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Weird, dude. These people. It's just it's become a big business. Is what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
It's a grift.
it is a grift. Somebody said, no wonder he was friends with Oprah or Randy. Good grief. Anybody who's friends with that big-headed woman.
Yeah.
Let me tell you all what you won. You will pay taxes. Yay.
You have taxes, and
You have taxes. And you got taxes.
Everybody gets taxes.
Yeah. And if you're not happy paying for these immigrants to have transsexual surgery, you will go to hell. Okay, I'm just saying. Do not pass go. It's crazy. Luke Clark says, "What's up, Christian Warriors? Luke, what's up with you? Why is your name not in green along with Ivy and Paiute? I'm making a list, checking it twice." Bounty Hunter and Bear, get y'all's names in green, guys. I'm telling you, because tomorrow is the
Members only episode.
members only.
Yeah, and it's the first week of October. So first day.
We have a very good following on the Patreon, but a lot of you aren't. I mean, you're joining the Patreon, but a lot of you aren't watching the videos. I mean, it's up to you. It's your video that I'm making for you to be on the Patreon. A lot of people are joining in, and they're saying they're joining it, to not only get the swag, but to get the extra show.
Mhm.
But a lot of people aren't watching the shows. We're getting a ton of people watching the members only, but a lot of people aren't watching. And it's not. What's weird is that they're joining the Patreon, but they're actually not watching the Patreon.
Yeah.
But everybody's still watching all the regular shows, and they're watching the members only. So I don't know what's going on with the Patreon. If it's something that you guys, I don't know. I mean, in order to watch it, you just got to go to the Patreon and watch it.
Yeah.
Now we have to set it up now, unfortunately, because it was to where you could download it or something.
If you had the link, you could
Yeah.
watch it.
We can't do that anymore. So we have to you have to join the Patreon to watch it. We can't send a link out anymore because people were sharing it. And so that was something that happened during the first video. We have a nice library now on there.
Oh yeah.
I think we got 4 or 5 episodes now.
Yeah. Just
5?
About, I think 5. Yeah.
5 episodes. And it's going to keep growing, and it's going to be a better and better deal because you're going to have access to an entire library of shows. So we're just stacking them. We just keep putting them in there. And I think that first one, we got 300 or 400 views on it or something, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Consider we have I think 250 something people on the Patreon.
Yep.
So we got people that are joining the Patreon, but like I said, a lot of people aren't watching the videos. But I know they're watching because they're watching the regular show and they're watching the members only. So Richard Brown says, I just became a Patreon. I watched every one the same day. Isn't that fun? Do you just watch them all back to back?
Yeah. Just binge watch them.
And I hope you enjoy them as much as I enjoyed making them and talking to the people and getting their stories. It's really interesting. Now, here's the thing. We got 300 people now. For Halloween time, this is October, whatever. Thank you for that, Brenda, for gifting and also for being a member. Halloween. So every day this month, you're going to get a show. Every day this month, you're going to get one on Sunday, which is the main show, whatever, I guess would be the oldest, longest, whatever.
Yeah.
Monday is the show where people call in. And we don't get a huge crowd on there, but I like it. That's the show I have the most fun with. It's just because there's no telling what direction it's going to go. And so Monday was a little of an emotional one. I started talking with Chaplain Tony, who's he's a chaplain. And, you know, he started talking and we just talked, and it ended up being a very emotional episode between all of us, you know. And then Tuesday is the Patreon. So you got a Patreon show. And then Wednesday, here we are today doing the show on Wednesday. And a lot of the Wednesdays will be connected to Patreon or members only in one form or another. Then we have the Thursday show, which is the members only show, which you can catch on YouTube by just $5 and you become a member for the month. Then you got Friday. Now, every Friday this month, the next 2 weeks, we're going to be doing stuff with Truth and Bass. It's going to get more and more interesting. This Friday and next Friday is going to be more and more interesting because we laid the groundwork down for it and a lot of the exploration that we're going to be doing into the alien abduction phenomena, which is really creepy. But we did that on last Friday's show. And this Friday and next Friday, we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're going to get into some weird cases with these guys. And then after that, we got another guy that we're recording with, and we're going to put his shows out there. And he had all kinds of weird paranormal stuff, and it's in his own words. And then on Saturday, this is the thing I'm really excited about. The first episode coming this Saturday, short stories. Mm-hmm. Okay. Real encounters from real people, but these are, you know, cut down to like just the story about that particular, and they run about 40 minutes, right? 30 to 40 minute episodes, and it's going to be there on a Saturday. So you can just cut in, check it out, and cut out. And then, of course, we're right back to Sunday. And that's going to happen every day in October. And if it works out, we might just keep doing those short 30, 40 minute
I think people are going to like them, those short form episodes.
This one was a guy named Reese who contacted us, and he had a heck of a story, and it was about a black cat. And so the episode is literally about a cat. Weird story. And then next week we got another one and another one and another one. It just keeps going. And I'm excited. I'm going to be doing a lot of work. I've been doing a lot of interviewing. Last month, I busted my butt talking to a bunch of people to get this information out there and to get ready for October. I didn't want it to be like last year where I was just, you know, it was just business as usual. October just came and went, and I was slammed in the middle of trying to do a million things, in the middle of buying a house and everything else, and you know, living out on a ranch and having to come to town to do the show. That was hard, and it took its toll on all of us. But this year, we're ready. And October is going to be a heck of a month, and I'm so glad. Join the Patreon, please. Join the members only. And like and subscribe. And if you feel it in your heart, then donate. If you don't, or you can't, or you broke, I understand. Don't do it. But that's what's happening with PRT. So without further ado, let's get started. We got 322 people in the chat, and I would love to get started. Here is what's crazy. So this guy, his story, the beginning of this will be on the Patreon. That's a standalone on its own. But this is also a standalone on its own. Now, you don't have to go to the Patreon to figure out what happened to this guy and how he ended up with this situation. What would you guys call it? A situation. Kind of makes it sound a little bit
like normal.
Not normal at all. I mean, the guy told us some crazy stuff. Here, okay, so after what happened to him with this, he was taken. I'll give you a quick, rundown. He ended up being taken by some people, but he went willingly because he didn't know what he was in for. He got away. Obviously, and lived to tell the teller. I wouldn't have gotten the story. It's pretty wild. It is really wild. I would join the Patreon just to hear his encounter. But here's what happened to him. When he left, he went to Albany. When he left that situation, he went home to Queens. His mother and his dad, he stayed with them temporarily until he got his bearings. And then he was dating this woman in Albany, New York. He gets a job up there with her where she's at, and they work together. They're still together, and they have a great relationship. and they have children together now. So Scott, like I said before, his dad was a non-practicing Orthodox Jewish man, and his mother was a Catholic. And by his own words, he goes, they were great parents, but they were very secular, and they didn't believe in God, really. It was like they paid lip service to it. He found God. He found God while he was dealing with the, like I said, I don't know what to call it, an abduction, an imprisonment, or whatever. When he was dealing with these lunatics that took him, he became very religious all of a sudden, very Christian, let's put it that way. And he talked to Christ at that day, and he says, man, I'll never forget it. I felt this warmth in my chest. And he goes, and I became a Christian. He's like, but something happened. He goes, and it really started right when I got back to Queens. He goes, it was the second night I was back. My mother, who's always been very good to me and my brother, doted on us. My dad was a big softy. He would always, he was raised very harsh from his dad. His dad didn't show him any love. His mother was very mean, hit him a lot. And so it turned him away from religion. And he just kind of shunned anything religious at all. He gave them the choice, though, if they wanted to be Catholic and go to, whatever. And at first they went to Catholic school because that's what their mother wanted. But the mother didn't really truly practice, and they only went at Easter and at, Christmas Eve, that kind of thing. He's like, and my dad would even go sometimes begrudgingly, but he wasn't religious at all. He goes, but my dad worked hard, and he broke the mold from what the normal was for his religion. And he became a mechanic, and he didn't really have much contact with his family at all. He said, in fact, his great uncle ran a jeweler's shop right down the road. And he goes, and we walk by there all the time. And he goes, and his uncle would just look at him and sneer, and they wouldn't talk. And on the other hand, his mother had a sister who was constantly browbeating her about being a good Catholic and how she shouldn't have married this guy because he's not Catholic. And there was a lot of tension. And then that sister who babysat them made it a point to push religion on them. And he goes, and he was repelled by it. So when he gets back, the first thing he does is ask his mother if she has a rosary. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I might, somewhere. So the next day she comes to him and she said, this was my mother's. And she was deceased. She had died years ago. And he said, you can take it and, do whatever. And the woman that he ends up marrying, getting with, whatever, she was Lutheran by birth. And now both of them are non-denominational Christian. But he said, I slept with the rosary and it gave me some comfort. He goes, and in my whole life, I may have opened the Bible on my own once. He said, I remember it was an Easter Sunday and I opened the Bible and I thought, I'm going to read what it says about the resurrection, because this was a story that he was told in the Sunday school the church he went to, with some neighbors. They were some friends, and they were Presbyterian, and he went to the church with them, and he was compelled to open it up, and he read it, and he thought, wow, this is great, whatever. But later on, his dad told him, he goes, that's all fairy tales. None of that's real, and his dad wasn't a drinker. But every now and then when he did drink, he became very cynical, and he would tell him and his brother that it was all just, a bunch of nonsense. And he would, and so it was weird because God works in mysterious ways. His neighbor 2 doors down was a Pakistani Muslim, get this. And he says his neighbor was always very friendly, and he ran a halal deli, down the road. And he said he would go in there every now and then to get, some shawarma. He said they had these really good, like pitas, whatever. And he said the third day he was back, he's like, I decided, he goes, I was still trying to get my bearings after what had happened to me. And he's like, I go in there and I talk to this guy. He's like, and that guy, he goes, after he gave me my food, he comes to the table and he sits down with me. He's wearing his apron and everything. He's the owner. He's had it for about 10 years. And he says, you look troubled, my friend. What's wrong? He goes, he said, I'm a big guy. He's, he described himself. He's like 6'1", 6'2", whatever. And he said, you look troubled. And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you didn't order the French fries because you just got the pita and no French fries. And he goes, and you always big appetite. You're a big guy. You're strong. And he says, you noticed, he says, and then he was just kind of sitting there playing with his food, kind of picking at it, which he said, that's not like me at all. He said, I can go into a deli and eat like 2 pastrami sandwiches, dude. And he goes, and I don't gain weight. He goes, I'm pretty fit, very active guy. And he said, this was when I was young. I didn't have kids yet or whatever. And I'd worked out and was trying to impress the ladies, And he said, I was sitting there talking to this guy and I told him, I said, do you believe in God? And this man looks at him and he says, I believe in that we all have the same God. He goes, I call him something. Your God, you call him something. He goes, who are you, a Christian? And he tells this guy, I said the voice kind of, how he talks. Mm-hmm. And he says, I tell this guy, I said, I'm not. He's like, my dad is technically Jewish by birth. My mother's Catholic, but nobody really believes. And he tells him, he said, this is the first guy I opened up to. I hadn't even told my girlfriend yet. And he said it was late. It was about 10 o'clock, and he said that the guy told him, he says, let me close up. And then we talk. He closes up his story. He said there was an Albanian guy that worked for him and the Albanian guy sat down together. Now, here's what's weird. There's a lot of Albanians that are Muslim. He gets the one Albanian that's not. He's actually a Christian, and he's married to another woman that's Muslim, which is weird. And so their family was like, So they sit down and they talk to him. And the Albanian guy says, he goes, my family's Christian, but I fell in love with an Albanian girl. And she's Muslim, and we ended up marrying her family. He didn't like me. They've learned to tolerate me. And of course, the owner of the shop, he's a Pakistani guy. And he tells him, he goes, I'm a Muslim, but I'm not really a practicing Muslim, but I know what the Quran says. And he says that, growing up being 2 different religions, it must be hard. And he said, not really, because my parents they had nothing to do with it at all. He said, but something happened to me. And he's like, and I need God. I need God bad. He goes, and I broke down. I had never cried like that. He's like, in front of grown men like that. He goes, one time during basketball practice, I broke my foot. He's like, and it hurt so bad. And the coach kept telling me to walk it off, run it off. And I had a horrible fracture in my foot. And he said that I was a sophomore. He goes, and I just laid down on the court and I cried. And it was the only time I remember crying in public. And he goes, but I cried. And I told these people, I said, I had something happen to me. I was held against my will. My life is, I don't know. He goes, I went home. I didn't go back to work. I just called in every day until they let me go. And so he told him, he said, I'm about to lose my job. This is at that time before he had lost his job. And he said, I'm about to lose my job. I'm having anxiety. I didn't even know what that was. And now I have it. And he goes, and I've been back for a few days since my ordeal. He goes, and my girlfriend keeps calling me and I'm real short with her. He's like, and I need something. So this Pakistani guy says, look, I know a good mosque you can go to, and the Albanian guy says, and I know a church, it's Orthodox if you want to go to the church, Christian church. So he did. He went to Jama'ah at the mosque, and then he went to the services at the Orthodox church. He said they couldn't be more different. He's like, but I felt something both times. He goes, and then a few days later, still not in my right mind, he goes, I called my aunt. And I told her, I said, Aunt, I'm just going to call her Aunt because I don't know her name. I says, Annie, he goes, I need help. Something really horrible happened to me. And she's like, your mother told me. And she's like, what? And then he's like, he told his mother, quit telling people because I don't know what these people might do because their story is like word against mine, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and I don't know who's all in on it and who could have, So it was crazy. And so he ended up like going to the Catholic Church with her. He said, I felt something, but it wasn't much. It was like the Orthodox Christian church and the Sunni Muslim church. He goes, it was the same thing. He goes like, I felt like this twinge of spiritualness and like a closeness to God, but it wasn't fulfilling. Like I didn't feel like, he said, and if I had to pick one, and I knew what he was going to say, and I told him, I said, I know what you're going to say. And he said, the Orthodox. I said, yep. The Orthodox Christians, he goes, that was the closest that I felt to being really, truly in the faith with God. He goes, but even then, there wasn't a support group there. I didn't really know the people there. It was like a Greek Orthodox, whatever. And so he said, I felt kind of lost, and he says, and then this weird stuff started. He said it was about the beginning of the second week, and I had already gone to 2 churches. This was before I went to the Catholic Mass. He said, but I did have a good talk with the priests of each Christian church and from the clerics. The clerics had told me that they believed that there was something that had gone wrong in a way that I did not understand, and that it was going to reveal itself. One of the clerics told him that. He said he never could shake the feeling after talking to this guy that there was something there, and maybe this guy saw it. The weird thing is that this was not the head of the mosque, like he was like the secondary guy, but he was blind. And he said, I felt like this guy could see like through the physical world into the spirit. And the guy told him, he's like, the guy's holding my hand like this, and he's holding his hand, not holding it, but like on top of my hand. And he's like looking straight ahead, and he tells him, he goes, you need to find yourself. He goes, and you need to find Allah. And he goes, come back and I'll tell you more. And he goes, when we can talk on a time, because everybody was leaving at that time. And so he did. After he went to the Catholic Church, the next morning he wakes up, and the weirdest thing, he says, all of my shoes, he goes, it was weird. All of my shoes, he goes, he goes, by my own admission, he goes, I am addicted to sneakers. Like I collect sneakers. A lot of people collect things, right?
It can be an investment.
Yeah. And he says, I'm a sneakerhead. He goes, I had like 100 pairs of shoes. He goes, I didn't spend my money on other things. I spent them on clothes to wear, and I bought different types of shoes. He says, I don't do it anymore. It's just something I did when I was young. And he said that all of my shoes were taken out of the boxes, and they were all thrown on the floor in my closet. He's like, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what is this? This is so weird. So he's like thinking, there is something here with me. Something is on me. Something is wrong, really wrong. And he thinks that it was something that happened to him during his time with those, whatever. He's like, I need to talk to this guy at the mosque, because he's the one that told me that there was something there. But the priest the day before, when he went to mass, said the same thing, that he felt like there was something wrong with him. But the priest, I don't think, was understanding. This is what he told me. He says, I don't think the priest was understanding what had happened to me, because I didn't give him the full story like I told you. He's like, this is what he's telling me. He said, I just told the priest the basic outline, what had happened to me. So the priest said, we'll set up a time on Tuesday, and you come back and you talk to me. He goes, this was Monday. So I called over to the mosque, and the secondary cleric was there, and he told him, come on in and let's talk. He said when he walked in, the guy had a guy that was there, opened the door for him and helped him get him to his seat. He said the guy was blind. Like you could see he was feeling around on his desk, and he was looking away from me. And he says, I can feel it. There's something on you. He goes, it's a very powerful demon. As you call it, a demon, we would call it a jinn. And he told him, he says, this thing that's on you was placed on you, and you were supposed to lose your life. And now this thing wants your life because it was going to take you as a slave. Now, when he starts talking about this, of course, the Muslims believe in like different levels of hell, different levels of heaven. He begins to tell him in detail what this creature was trying to do. He says, you need to be blessed. And so he says, come back, during services, and we will do a blessing and all this other stuff, So they did a prayer, and he gave him a Quran to read and all this stuff. When he left, he says, look, I'm going to be real honest. He goes, I never went back. He goes, I didn't feel it. Because I asked these guys, I said, what is your belief in Christ? And they said, well, we believe he was the greatest prophet. They didn't believe that he was the Son of God in the way that we believe. They believe that he was a son of God, as we all are. But they don't believe that he died on the cross either. They believe that Jesus was taken, that Allah would not allow him to be killed because he was too holy. And it's this whole thing that they believe, and I've heard this all before, and he was yada, yada, yada. And I told him, I said, what did you do with the Quran? He goes, nothing. I just set it on my dresser, and I felt nothing for it. He goes, but being honest, I didn't feel anything for the Bible either. He's like, and then my great aunt came by, and it was weird. She just showed up, He's like, she was always kind of a maverick, kind of a like person that didn't conform to the rest of the family. And I told him, I said, I had an aunt like that. She was very much like that. She would just thumb her nose at the rest of the family and do what she wanted to do. And she lived her life according to her rules. But she was very much a God-fearing woman. And he said, yeah, my aunt is too. And she told him, she's like, I'm going to take you with me. And they went to the Pentecost church. Now, he said that when he was there, the guy's preaching and the guy is just moving around. He's very animated and he's yelling. He says he throws the Bible down on the pew and he goes, he sits next to me. He says, brother, something is troubling you. He goes, I can feel something on you. And he stands up and he puts his hand on my head. He's like, and his hand felt hot, like this guy had a fever of 110. He's like, and when he did, he goes, I nearly blacked out. And at the end of the service, he's like, him and my aunt and this guy and his wife were all in the back of the church. And he says, you're looking for something. He goes, and I don't know if you found it here. He's like, but he said, this was the first person that told him, you need to be saved. He goes, because you're fighting with something that you are totally outclassed with. And so up to this point, this is the two main incidents that had happened to him. Right? The day before he went to go visit the Catholic church, right? He's brushing his teeth. He's like, and I'm sitting there putting water on my face and my hair. He's like, and I'll be real honest, I hadn't bathed. You know, he goes, I took a bath when I first got back. Mm-hmm. He's like, and something like stirred the water. Oh. Like when you're sitting in the bathtub, his mother had made him a bath of like Epsom salt. And he said that it looked like something splashed the water with its hand. And he goes, and that was it. I jumped up and he goes, and I was terrified after that. And he goes, and the shower head was broken in their bathroom. And I was supposed to help my brother fix it. And of course I didn't. He goes, all I wanted to do was lay around and sleep because I felt drained. I had no energy. I felt terrible. And he said, I'm brushing my teeth and I'm just putting water on my face. And over my left shoulder, he's like, I see this black mass that at first just looked like a quick swirl. And then this weird sort of animalistic demonic face came out of it. And he goes, and at first, and I asked him, I said, what did it look like? He said, it kind of had a snout, but it looked kind of like a horse, you know, like a horse's face or something. He goes, and this thing came out at me. He goes, and I jumped back and I dropped my toothbrush into the sink and I turned around. He's like, and I only brushed my teeth that day because I just, my mouth tasted nasty and I needed to, you know. And he's like, man, there was something there, like, and it scared the crap out of me. He goes, and then the day after when I found the shoes, he goes, that night that I had gone, you know, to the Catholic church, that night, there was something in the corner or at the foot of my bed. And when I woke up, I saw this black thing and it looked like a person with like a black sheet draped over them. He said it was weird and it walked backwards and moved at a weird angle and went into the corner and squatted down into the corner. And he's like, I knew that I was awake, but it felt like I was in a dream and I was so tired. I just went right back to sleep and it didn't affect me. What had happened didn't even scare me until I woke up. And then I was like, oh crap. Like, what was that? Like, dude, what the heck? He's like, and then he goes, I knew that something was really wrong. Like there was something stalking me. Something was there. And it may have been more than one something. And so he's like, that's when I went to the Catholic church. I talked to the priest and the priest says, like, we'll set up a time. He goes, so that Tuesday was the day after I had gone to the mosque. I go to meet this Catholic priest. The priest prays for me and they do all these whatever talking. He says, we can come to your house. We can do a blessing. We can say the rites. When they showed up at the house, his parents were not very receptive of it. They just went to whatever room the priests were in. They went to a different room and they let him do it. They entertained it. They said, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. And Scott was like, hey, you know, I need you to do this for me. I'm looking to try to maybe get baptized. And the Catholic Church was accommodating. They said, yeah, we could baptize you. Never once, though, did any of these people talk to him about salvation. That was the key. When he went to the Pentecost, and I'm not Pentecost, you know, but he said he went to the Pentecost, they told him we need to say the prayer. And he goes, and we said the prayer. He's like, but after we said the prayer, this guy started like giving me a schedule. Like, you need to come in and do this. You need to come in and do that. You need to pray here. You need to do that. You need to show up for this function, that function. It was like okay, I appreciate you praying for me and I appreciate you. But now he's like already, like just instantaneously, he was becoming like obtrusive in my life.
Mhm.
He goes, and I felt like this was like, like they wanted me to join a cult. Like it was supposed to be like, this is who you are now. You're going to do this, and your old life is gone and you need to be a servant of God. And this is how you're going to serve God. And so it turned him away. He said, and at that time, I don't know if it was wrong or right, but I felt different. And he goes, and I started studying the Bible. I started studying Christianity, and I went from church to church to church, like I was looking for something. But every time I would talk to people in charge of these churches about what was happening to me, nobody could really help me. They would pray over me, and then this thing would get worse. The thing that was attached to him and was following him was a horrific thing. He was in his car one day. He says, I was in my car. He goes, and I was gaining weight because I wasn't working out anymore. I wasn't walking much. I was just laying around and eating. Being drained. He's like, and my once, nice flat stomach was becoming round and my face was getting fat. And he's like, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror in my car and I'm sitting there eating a cheeseburger. And he goes, and I'm just like, God, what is this? And he goes, when I said, what is this? He goes, I hear a voice in the back behind me in the seat says, this is you. And he says, man, this thing was talking to me, right? And he says, I dropped my food and I jumped out of my car. And I was like, what the heck? What was that? Like, he goes, I know I heard this. He said, I had a couple of friends that I had since I was a child. He's like, and I reached out to him and I met him over at the deli where my friend from Pakistan, he ran the deli. He's like, and he says, that is when me and my friend Joseph, who was Jewish, and Joseph said, you need to come to synagogue and this and that. So he goes, okay, well, I'll try it. He goes, I went there. I didn't feel anything. It was the same as just like all the other religions and churches and whatever. But his friend Joseph was attentive. And when he told him, he said, look, I got taken by these people and they were doing all this kind of stuff. And he says, now I think something is following me. And his friend Joseph told him, he's like, maybe it's a shadim. When he said that, his Pakistani friend had come and had sat down with him, and he says, or a jinn, as we call it. And they're all just kind of playing off of each other, trying to tell him what it is. And each thing they come up with is getting worse. And he's like, he goes, but the scary thing was, Wolf, the more these two people scared me with their Dybbuk and their jinn and all this, he goes, I'm thinking none of what you're talking about compares to what I believe this thing is. He goes, because that night when I was in my car, and he told me, he says, Wolf, you have the visor with the little mirror and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I pulled it down. He's like, and I look at this thing in the mirror. He's like, I see it behind me. He's like, have you ever seen Medusa? I was like, yeah, I know what Medusa is, the Gorgon, right? A Gorgon. He said, it kind of looked like that, but you could see it wasn't snakes. It was just like wild hair. And the face was elongated, kind of like a horse. I made a joke at that time. And I was like, that's the lady from Sex and the City, dude. I mean, come on, what are you talking about? I was like, are you putting me on? He started laughing. He goes, no, my friend, no, it wasn't that.
Ask it for an autograph.
I won't even say her name because I won't get sued or whatever.
Yeah.
I already said something about Tyler Perry presents Tyler Perry. But, so we started laughing. We had a good laugh. And he says, no, it wasn't her. He goes, but it was this kind of horse face looking. It was a quick glimpse. And there were these red eyes. He's like, and I moved so quick, I hit my head on the side of the, when you're getting out of the car, the lip right there.
Mm-hmm.
He says, dude, and I bumped my head really good to the point where I was dizzy. And so I called my mother. I went inside. I didn't have a cell phone. He goes, I go inside and I call my mother. And I said, Mom, can you come get me? I can't drive. I'm just, So she goes and picks him up, and they're driving back. And she says, well, I'll send your brother to get your car. And he says, his brother's a really good guy. He lived two or three houses down, whatever, 3 houses down. And he would come and do stuff and help the parents. He stuck around, And his brother tells him, they're in the den. And his brother says, hands on his hips, his younger brother. And he says, you're my older brother. He says, Scott, get your stuff together. He's like, you're a grown man. and you're acting like a child. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. He's like, you have a woman up in Albany that's been calling. She's called me. She's called my girlfriend. He's like, Mom and Dad are worried about you. And what are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, you're going to the synagogue. You're going to the mosque. You're going to all these different churches. He goes, what are you doing? Are you on drugs? Are you drinking? Are you hanging out at AA? You know, what are you doing? You're going to join the country club next? What are you doing? What is wrong with you? He said, your room looks like crap. It smells like crap. You know, this was a temporary thing. You were supposed to stay with Mom and Dad for a little while, and now you're living here. And it's like you've cordoned off an entire part of the house and nobody wants to go there. Even the cats and dogs are just afraid of going near you. And he starts crying. He says, I broke down. I told my brother, I said, something is on me. Something wants me. And his brother's like, in English? And he says, it's a demon. It's a demon. It wants me, right? I added that part about his brother didn't say it in English, but his brother was like, explain yourself, you know? And he's like, there's something demonic on me. And he says, I understand what happened to you was traumatic. I understand that what these people did to you was traumatic. And I understand that there's nothing we can do about it. He's like, if I thought it would work, we would drive up there and we'd go in there and we would do all kinds of crap to these people. It's not going to help. It's not going to work. He's like, sometimes you just have to take the L. His brother was right. He's like, you pick yourself up and you keep moving. He's like, I'm a Christian. I accepted Christ. He goes, you never once came to me and said, brother, where are you going to church? What are you doing for yourself? How are you doing? He says, we have a non-practicing Jewish father, a non-practicing Catholic mother. He's like, so we have to find our own way. He goes, I did it. Why can't you? His brother gave him some very good advice, but I also understand Scott's point that his brother did not live through what he lived through, and he was not understanding the severity of what was stalking him. In the middle of the night, about 3 weeks into this ordeal, he had stopped going to church. He had stopped doing anything, but he did accept Christ. He did have that. And his friend, another friend he had, this guy he grew up with named Kevin, who was a Christian, was Catholic. They met in Catholic school. And him and his friend Joseph, whatever, they all three grew up together. They were very good friends. They played basketball together. They went to high school together. That's why they were friends. And he said that his friend Kevin told him, he says, you know, I'm Catholic. He's like, but there are rites of exorcism if you believe that that is what is happening. And he told him, he goes, I don't think that that's what this thing is. He goes, I think this thing hides. And I don't think it's just inside of me and like there's some kind of demon there. I think it's just attaching itself. It's trying. He's like, but it has caused me to have this lethargy, this lack of energy, and a lack of enthusiasm for living, for life in itself. And in fact, he was starting to become depressed. He had broken up with his girlfriend. She dumped him, obviously. And then he was starting to become a little bit suicidal. He said the other day, I just thought, you know what? Maybe I should just drive on into oncoming traffic and be over with this. And then he says, I was just going to drive out in front of a dump truck or in front of a trash truck. And he's like, I thought this is not who I am. And I don't want to risk someone else's life. And Kevin was like, you know, you're a good person. He goes, of all of us, you were probably one of the most, you know, kind and outgoing. He's like, you always help people. He goes, you remember when we were in school? He goes, and they had a friend who was poor, who didn't have lunch. He goes, you always shared your lunch. He's like, the rest of us would make fun of him. And then we saw you giving him the food. We started, you know, he's like, and then his friend told him something very important. He says, what if you were chosen for your kindness? Maybe would this happen to you because it was part of your journey? And just maybe, you know, he's just saying, maybe God was calling to you and he delivered you from this. His friend Kev told him this. He says, I'll never forget. Kevin has passed away, unfortunately. He died like 3 years after this in an accident, a motorcycle accident. But he told him, he says, what if this was your calling? He goes, I'll always remember those words. What if what happened to you was meant to happen to you? And then he says, I got to go. You know, my fiance is calling me and whatever. And sadly enough, she was pregnant too. And so his child was 3 years old when this guy passed away. So that was very profound in Scott's life too. But it reaffirmed his belief in his faith. And that's a good thing, because he was going to need every bit of it. Because since that incident that happened to him, he has been battling whatever these things are. And I think there's more than one, for years. And if he even by his own admission says if he gives it any spiritual opening at all, he's like, I go to a New Year's Eve party, if I drink some booze, he's like, I feel like I'm going to have an episode. He's like, and some of these episodes are horrific. You have no idea. And we'll get into this. One of the things he said that happened to him shortly after he had a talk with Kevin, he went home and he goes, I got down on my knees. I'd never done that before. He's like, and I sat on the side of the bed and I prayed. He's like, and I prayed to God. And he goes, and to me, God and Christ, same thing. I really didn't know the difference. Christ was his son, but I thought, I'm praying to him. And I said, God, Jesus, he goes, and like I said, he knew how to pray. And he said, if you're there, can you help me? There's something here. He goes, and he hears a snickering, a laughing in the corner of his room. He's like, and then he hears footsteps, like he's trying hard to keep his eyes closed and focus on God. Meditating. A lot of people misinterpret what that means. Really, meditation is not, you're not going and going into another dimension. No, you're just focusing up your thoughts. So his meditative thoughts were to focus on God, Christ, the Holy Spirit. That is what he was telling me, the Trinity, the way he was trying to understand it. And this guy had no real guide to tell him, right? So he was sitting there trying, and this thing ran towards him. He could feel it. He said, and it moved so fast, you could feel it, not only hear the footfall. He's like, and I had a pretty big room, and he goes, and it ran toward me, and I heard the laughter of this thing. And he says, and I opened my eyes against my better judgment, and I see this thing standing there with this hair just going all over the place, looking like it was underwater. It was weird. He's like, and it had a very feminine looking face, like at the top of the face, but there was this muzzle, like this snout. And this thing was like gray. It looked like it was black and white, like it was from a black and white photo. No legs, just a spiral at the bottom of where the legs should have been. He's like, and I opened my eyes, and it is the most disgusting, most hideous thing I'd ever seen. He goes, and I fell backwards. And he goes, I'm crawling backwards. And I'm like, God, help me. Christ, help me. He's like, and I scrambled up to my feet, and I went to my dresser, and I grabbed a crucifix that I had. It was like one of those standing crucifixes. He's like, I had got it from the Catholic. They had a little store there where you could buy, And he grabbed it, and he put it up against his, this thing that was standing like a foot away from him at this point. He goes, I didn't see any arms. It was just like a blurry image. And then it dissipated. And then there was like this black smoke, and he started to cough and choke because it was trying to go up into his nostrils and into his mouth. And he's like, I scream at the top of my lungs. He's like, and my brother opens the door, and he goes, and maybe this was a good thing that this happened, because my brother saw it. He saw the black smoke, and his brother's like, oh my gosh, what is this? He goes, my brother grabs me and pulls me out into the hallway, and his brother is holding me. He goes, and never in our lives had we cried together. He goes, we both cried. He goes, and my brother gets me up and like puts me over his shoulder. He's like my younger brother, but he's bigger, stronger than me, picks me up, and I'm a big guy, and like carries me like a fireman down the stairs, sets me on the den couch, and my mother and dad are gone to dinner. He's like, and my brother was there helping clean and do some stuff, and his girlfriend is there. And he said, his fiance, very, very sweet woman. And she runs over to him, and she's like, are you okay? What's going on? And so the brother's like, I can't even tell you what I just saw. I don't know what that was. And so his brother tells me, he's like, Scott, he goes, okay, now he goes, I didn't know before what you were really dealing with. What was that? Like, I don't know what that was. And then while they're talking, they can hear above them stomping. It sounds like horses' hooves or something. And he was like, what is that? What? And his brother goes, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. Then the house was shaking. So they leave the house, and they just start driving, and he says, they just pulled into this drive-through to get some food. His wife was like, okay, let's get something to eat. We haven't eaten all day. Maybe you're just feeling faint. And his brother snaps and says, look, you don't understand. Whatever that was not, this is not, he is not unwell. Like he's sick. He's got something demonic. He's like, I don't know what that was. It was like what his brother saw was like this black swirling mass with a human animalistic looking head sticking out of it and was grinning. And he says, I don't know what that is. And he said his brother was like telling him he was having nightmares. So the brother's wife or future wife told him, she's like, why don't you come stay with us? Because, you know, the parents are starting to have these weird nightmares. And his dad, who had never had anything going on, started having night terrors that he was working on a car in the driveway, and that something crawled out from under the car and attacked him. And it was weird because his dad had a doctor's visit where they said that he was anemic. He was anemic. And they told him, they said, your blood, like, you know, your blood cells are, you know, like his blood count was low. His white blood cells and all this stuff was out of whack, and he was iron deficient. And so not only did that happen to his dad, but then about a week later, his mother started having these problems. Then they encouraged him to go to the doctor, and he was anemic. So this creature, whatever demon, whatever this thing is, it's vampiric in nature, and it is feeding on them. And he said that it was so bad that at one point the doctor told his dad that he might need a blood transfusion. Jeez. That his heart wasn't pumping correctly, and it was bad. And they're wondering, like, how are we losing blood? Here's the weird thing. And there's another episode that's either on Patreon or it's going to be on members only, and it is a horrific story about a haunted house. Right. And it was in Connecticut, in Hartford, Connecticut. And this happened. One of the women in that house, I'll just tell you, she was attacked and bit on the foot, right? Mm-hmm. So his dad, right below his large big toe and the middle toe right next to it, right there are these two bite marks that look like fangs. Then they notice his mother has it too on the left foot. His dad had it on the right foot. And the doctor, they did this exam, and his dad had, like, it was necrotic. So he thought that he had been bitten by a spider. But what kind of spider is draining your blood? That's the thing. I mean, this would have to be a very large spider, and it would be, just completely. So, it's a weird thing. Like, what is this that's happening to these people? And he's like, and his brother told him, this is probably what's happening to mom and dad is happening to you. His brother was completely on board at this point. He had friends, and his friend Joseph had reached out to his girlfriend and told her, what was happening. So she drove down with her friend from Albany, and Joseph and Kevin went over there. He's like, and there was a football game on that night. We were all watching it. He's like, and we were out in Queens. They have these detached garages, so they were in there and they were hanging out. He's like, and my dad used to like to play shuffleboard. He had this table that he made. He was a carpenter and a mechanic. He was very, inclined to build things. So they were playing, with that, where they hit the ball, the disc or whatever. It's that kind of. He goes, and we're all playing and we're having fun. He goes, and then when we're sitting there watching the game and we're drinking a few beers, he's like, the board starts moving and we see these discs hitting one another and flying off of the table. He's like, and then everybody's just kind of stopped, and my brother stands up and he's like, what the heck is that? Like, why is that happening? He's like, there was a weight set too, and the weights came off on both sides and the bar just kind of flipped up and fell. And he's like, and everybody freaked out. Then the TV turned off. And he says, I knew that it was me, that there was something that was after me. He goes, and at this point, my friends and my brother were all like, yes, we agree. We think that it is you too. And like I said, they're not all really that religious. And he said that at this point, his great aunt had come to the house, and she was in the main house, and they were making a dinner. Sunday dinner. It was a tradition. His family actually did Sunday dinner, even though they weren't religious, whatever. So he goes into the main house, and he said that when he went in there, his friends and his brothers stayed out into the garage, or they came out, but they went back in, and it all stopped. Like all this poltergeist type activity quit. He's like, I go into the main house, I talk to my aunt, and my aunt tells me, she's like, you need to be blessed. She's like, I'm going to take you to the church. And he's like, I already talked to those Pentecost people. I don't want to. She's like, no. She goes, but you need to go and just sit and listen. So he did. And thank you for that donation. We appreciate that. And he said that, so he did. He went to the church and he got his blessings or whatever. She said that it was, he said when they were driving back, she's like, you really need to start coming to church with me. He goes, I don't feel like I should be there at that church. I don't feel comfortable there. I feel like they're trying to put me on some kind of regimen, and I'm not ready to do that. And he's like, and his girlfriend had come down from Albany, and he told her, he says, look, I'm going to go with Angela. That's his fiance. He goes, or became his fiance. He goes, I'm going to go back up to Albany and I'm going to stay with her. And I'm going to see if maybe a fresh start will help me. His aunt told him, she's like, if you don't stay prayed up and you don't do what you're supposed to do, this thing is going to stalk you forever. She's like, I've seen it. She's like, and it is a huge burden on you. And his aunt told him, she's like, it is completely evil, demonic. Those people that took you, they're satanic. And she's like, I've dreamed about it. And told her, if you don't, she told him, if you don't stay prayed up, she's like, you could be taken over. This creature, what it is, it wants to take you. And if it can't take you, it's going to unalive you. And that's not her words, but that's what he goes up to Albany and he starts seeing his girlfriend. He starts making the drive up there. Very horrific for him because he has to go, through the area where he was taken. He ends up going up to Albany and on one of his trips, and his girlfriend just says, why don't you stay here? She tells him, I love you, and you're a good person and I want to be with you. And he says, okay. And he says, so what are we doing here? And she tells him, I don't know. What do you want to do? And so he's like, I had to make a choice. And Scott says, okay, let's get married. And so just like that, they got engaged. And 6 months later, they were married. He goes, and I never looked back. And then she got pregnant, and now we have 3 kids. He's like, during her pregnancy, he goes, it was like the first few months of living with her, it all stopped. She's a very devout Christian. He goes, and she was just completely throwing herself into the faith. Every day we prayed together. We went to bed praying. We woke up praying. And whatever this thing was, he said it was like it lied dormant. He's like, but dormant is the key word, right? It didn't stay that way. This thing was not going to just go away. He said that one day, about 3 months before his firstborn son was born, he said, I wake up. Hold on one second. So, but right before his firstborn son was born, he says, and there were a lot of complications. A lot of complications. He's like, I had not seen hide nor hair of any of this demonic whatever. He's like, I wake up at 1 a.m. He's like, and I see what looks like a black mass hovering over my wife. He's like, and there was this thing protruding out of the black mass like a spear, and it was touching her navel, and her shirt was lifted up, exposing her pregnant belly. Now, here's the thing, too. On Sunday's show, we're going to talk about a woman from the Philippines named Mara. Mara literally had something happen to her with a vampiric entity, and I believe it was what we call the Oswing. The Oswing is also an episode, we've already done it, on another person's encounter in the Luzon jungle, and that's going to be on Patreon too, so you need to check that out. And it is a horrific encounter. And it involves this Oswing type creature. And then there's another one we did where some children, well, they're not children anymore, but they're
They were at the time.
Yeah, they were African. I don't say African American. They were black, you know, and they had something happen to them when they were kids, very similar with this vampiric looking creature. And that too will be on either Patreon or on the members only.
That one was pretty
Dude, it was really
Yeah.
intense, and it was a guy named Duna and DeMarco.
It was hard to listen to.
Yeah, because you know, they're just kids.
They're big
You know,
kids.
it was kids, but they were brave. But here's what ended up happening. Everything all right? So Anthony's doing some stuff right here on the computer. So just give me 1 second. Look at the comments here. Yeah. Yep, David, that's what they do. So he ends up seeing this thing going down into her navel. Now, Tony, you talk on one of the episodes. I don't know which one it was, but it
We were
hasn't.
just talking about the Oswing.
The Oswing, yeah, and you were talking about a book that I had given you when you were a kid about vampires.
Yeah, it was a picture book that just described different kinds of vampires from all over the world. Like it had one section about Elizabeth Bathory, had some from the floating heads from, I think it was either Japan or China, just some different vampires like that. But it described how the Oswing would have a tongue that they would connect to the navel so they could drink the baby's blood from through the umbilical cord or something like that. And it's really creepy. Or like it would enter through the navel.
I think about proboscis, like that mosquito, whatever suction, like straw tongue, just nasty.
And like out of all the book stories in that book, like that one was always that stuck with me because like how creepy and how like just intruding that is.
Intrusive,
yeah.
Yeah, so he sees this thing like a spike coming down into his wife's stomach, and he gets up. He's like, and man, I couldn't have been more upset. He's like, and I tried to wake my wife up, but she wouldn't wake up. Angela was sound asleep.
It's a common thing.
And he's like, yeah, it is. And I told her, I was like, in the name of Christ, you know, I said, I rebuke you. And this thing, he kept doing it. And he goes, as he did it, it started to vibrate. And then this thing it says mic off, Anthony. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I already took care of it.
And so it said that it started to go up, like back into this black mass. He said the swirling mass turned into like a face. And it was that weird horse-like, I don't know, the equine, would that be the word? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it would be, you know, and he said that this thing had big old fangs, big old teeth, and it was a huge snout at this point. It wasn't a little muzzle. He goes, and the hair still looked like the wild hair of a woman. He's like, and this thing swirled around and just came down like a little mini tornado. He's like, and it happened really fast. It wasn't like, you know, he's like, it was just like, woof, and it was there. And he goes, and it was a female. He goes, and you could see it. It was like a naked female. He's like, and this thing like didn't walk or slide. It didn't float. It slithered over to me. There were no legs. He goes, it was just like the bottom of the tornado became like the torso and then like a tail, and that was it. Yeah. He's like, and this thing came to him. He's like, and it screeched at him. And it lunged itself on him. He goes, and there was no real form to it. It wasn't like a physical thing. It was a female with a demonic horse-like face with the top part of the head was like a human, and the hair was like, but then there was this horse's, you know, thing, and she was choking me. He goes, and it was just like the hands with the grips were this rough, chapped hands, like just choking the life out of me. He's like, and all I could feel were scales as I was battling with this thing. He goes, and I screamed out, in the name of Christ, in the name of Christ, in the name of Christ. He said over and over again. He said, finally, I was just flailing around fighting with the blankets, and I rolled off the bed, and boom, you know, I wake up to reality that I'm on a hardwood floor. And then my wife wakes up and she's like, are you okay? And he's like, no, I'm not okay. I'm alive. And he's like, but this thing, something came out and it tried to attack you and attack our child. And so they started going to their church, and he became very, very involved in a church that was right down the highway in another little town right there. And he said that we became very involved in that church, and we were part of that church until the pastor passed away. But he said that pastor came to their house. He goes, and I believe that me, the pastor's wife, one of the deacons, and my wife, and one of her friends, and her husband, and me, we all did battle with whatever this was. He's like, and I was on my knees, and I remember them laying their hands on me and praying. He's like, and I had flashbacks to being in that house with those witches or whatever they were. And he goes, and I was having these flashbacks, and I was remembering things like when I was talking about these demonic entities that looked like static, that were black and were dancing around with these women, that one of them had slid over to me and went up into my nostrils. He's like, and I had that in my mind's eye. He goes, I was like above my body, and I was watching this happen, and it was a memory. He goes, so I was out of my body at one point when I was in their, I guess, custody, you know. And he says, so I was standing, you know, I was floating over my body, and I was watching this happen, and it was a demonic oppression that was happening to me. And this was, I mean, he goes, I may have been moments away from being unalived. And he's like, and so I'm watching this. He goes, and I realize that having accepted the you know, going with these people was like this sort of permission. And so this preacher that he had up there in upstate New York told him, he's like, you gave this thing permission. Now you have to revoke it, take it back. And you know, they tricked you. And so he did. And he said, I denounce you in the name of Christ. I rebuke you, tie bind and rebuke these spirits. And he did all of this. He's like, I was on the floor. He goes, I don't remember this. He's like, I remember, he goes, them telling me that I was on the floor and I was slithering around like a snake. He's like, and eventually this black smoke began to leak from my spine and from the back of my neck. He's like, and then it went up and it swirled around, and the preacher was like swatting at it with the Bible. He goes, and it went into the mirror, my wife's dresser, the mirror. He's like, and at that point, the preacher's wife and the deacon and his wife, they covered the mirror with a sheet, and they took the mirror and they took it. He said, and after that, he goes, I had 3 beautiful children, no problems, nothing. He's like, and then when my youngest was 5 years old, he's like, his birthday came and I had a drink. He's like, never been a big drinker, but when I drink, I drink. He's like, and I got smashed. And it didn't take much. He's like, a couple wine coolers would get me where I needed to be. He goes, I drank like 4 beers. And it got me pretty intoxicated, and I had a glass of wine. He goes, so I was just lit. He's like, and I went to sleep, and this was one of the things that happened to him that just horrific. He said, I'm asleep. He goes, and I start dreaming almost immediately. He's like, I just remember my head hitting the pillow and my wife kind of tucking me into bed, and she always has this habit of staying up reading. She's very studious. He goes, and I start dreaming. He's like, in this dream, Wolf, here's what he told me. He says, these 2 beings come out of my wife's side of the closet. They walk into my room. One of them is this weird horse-faced woman thing, and another one looks like some sort of minotaur or like a ram or goat. He said the horns were weird. They went up and kind of curved out and down, but the face looked bull-like. But the horns were sort of like a goat, you know. And he said that this thing was with her, and down below at that creature's waist was this black shaggy dog. And he goes, and the dog looked absolutely demonic. It was more scary and terrifying than the other 2 creatures put together. And this thing was obviously in charge. It stepped forward and it spoke to me, and it was like, are you ready? And he was like, no. He goes, I knew in my heart that I should not be speaking to these creatures. These are infernal, demonic creatures. I should never have entertained it. And I told him, I said, we're ready for what? and it said this, and it leapt on me. He goes, and then in this dream, it crawled, it like shrunk down and it crawled into my mouth and went down into my stomach. He goes, and I could see my stomach like moving, like this creature was there. He goes, and then I woke up. He's like, and it was a horrific dream. And I got up, he goes, and I went to the restroom, and my wife's like, are you okay? He goes, I'm not okay. The booze, he thought that the booze had done this, and he had eaten cake and other stuff, so he felt sick. So he goes to the bathroom and he vomits into the toilet. He's like, but what was in the toilet, Wolf, was not booze, and it was black sludge. And he asked me at that point, he goes, you know what I'm talking about? Because he's actually a listener to the show. And I told him, I said, yeah, he's not a what do you call it? Like a constant listener or whatever.
Mhm.
He needs to be. You need to be. But anyway, you do what you got to do. But he has work and all that other stuff that he thinks is important. So he's vomiting into the toilet, and it's this black sludge. And his wife goes in there and she's like, oh my gosh, what is that? And he's just like, I don't know, honey, I'm really sick. And then he goes and he lays back down on the bed. He goes, and immediately I go back to sleep. He goes, I immediately start dreaming again. He's like, and I'm in this dark abyss and I'm just floating. He's like, and here comes this being, this thing with the horns, and it grabs my hands and it's like laughing. He's like, and it's very human-like in its nature, but it looks anthropomorphic, like a animalistic. He goes, and it just starts like spinning me, and it tosses me further into the abyss, and then I land on this floor. He's like, and the room is dark. He goes, but I can just, wherever I look, I can just see a little bit of light. He goes, and I'm fumbling around the ground, and I'm on all fours. He goes, and I'm touching the floors like this tile. He's like, and this creature puts its like what feels like hooves on my back. He goes, and I look up, and it's this woman, and she looks horse-like, right? And she's pushing me down, and she's telling me to obey, and telling me to beg, and asking me to worship her. And I told her no. And in the corner, this big wolf comes back, and it says, okay, so you don't want to listen. You don't want to pretend. You don't want to partake in what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. He says, I'm trying to negotiate at this point. And he says, no, I don't want this. I don't want any part of this. This wolf-like creature begins to talk to him and says, no, you agreed to this. You agreed to this, and you broke your agreement. And he says, I don't have an agreement. He goes, at that point, I realized what I had done. He's like, and I said, I don't belong to you. And he says, and I told him I belong. And then he said, don't say it. Don't say it. And then this thing's paws came up like hands with like a claw. And it says, if you say it, you die right now. I will kill you, and I will take your soul. You will be here with me forever in this place. And so he said, this thing conned me. It tricked me into not saying the name of Christ, and I was terrified. He's like, and fortunately for me, my wife began to shake me, and I wasn't waking up, and she was ready to call an ambulance. And then I woke up and took a big, deep breath. He goes, and I just remember being like awake for a few seconds and then being pulled back down into this dream. This went on, and then he wakes up eventually, and he's surrounded by paramedics, and they're taking him on a stretcher, and they're telling him, stay with us. And they got him hooked up to all this stuff, and they said his heart is stopping and starting. He heard them talking about this. And at this point, he's floating up above his body, but then he's also going down into this pit, this abyss. And finally, these things are laughing at him. They're laughing at him, and they're telling him, you're going to die. You're going to die, and you're going to be here with us forever. This is where you belong. And then the wolf told him, that wolf-like creature told him, you could have just been a servant, but now you're going to be punished and tortured and tormented. And told him, this is what you chose. You chose, and you turned your back on our agreement, and you chose him. When he says him, he knew exactly what these creatures were talking about. These demons are referring to God. He goes, and it was in my heart. He goes, referring to God the Most High. He goes, and I said him. He's like, and I got emboldened. He's like, and I told this creature that kept talking to me real haughty. And he says, who is him? Who is he? He goes, and this horned-like creature let go of him and backed up and was like, okay. Said something to these other two creatures. He couldn't understand. It was like in another language, but he knew what they were saying. And he's like, he's referring to him. And that creature says, okay, we need to let him go. And this other creature, the giant wolf-like creature, told him, no, you're not going anywhere. You're staying here in this abyss with us. And he heard talking and laughter and all these, like there was an audience, right? And this loud roaring sound. He said it sounded like a game show, like they were watching me. He's like, Wolf, I'm telling you, this is the absolute truth. He goes, this is what happened to me. This is what he says happened to him. And he says, I heard this loud, like thunder clap, and all of this noise stopped. And these creatures all kind of ducked down like they were afraid. And he says, him is the one most high. He goes, and I got emboldened. He goes, and I got up off my knees and I stood up. And he goes, I was wet with this black stuff and I was throwing it off of me. He's like, and I said, I am a sinner. I have made mistakes. I have committed sins. He's like, but I don't belong to you. He's like, you, me, her, all of us, we belong to him. And when he said that, they all bowed down, some of them begrudgingly, and he could see them like straining to try to keep their heads up, but they couldn't. And he said, he looks up and he goes, and it was like blackness. He's like, and all I saw was a little pinprick, like a white dot. He's like, and I said, God, help me in the name of Christ. And it opened up. He said, in the name of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, everything I had ever learned about Christianity, and I've been practicing it, it opened up. And I said, help me to be ever sober. Keep me, strengthen me, forgive me. And it just got bigger and bigger until the whole room was lit up and these creatures were nowhere to be found. He's like, and then I realized I was in a hospital room. And he goes, and my body had been shutting down. He's like, you remember when I told you that I had only drank 4 beers and a glass of wine? He goes, I had drank an entire box of wine and I had about 8 beers. And they weren't no bull crap beers. He goes, these were Guinness, big, tall Guinness. He's like, and I mixed it together and I was sick. I had alcohol poisoning and I was dying. And my body, having not drank for like several years, you know, like I think he said it was 8 years. He was dying. He said, now, here it goes. A few years later, right? He's like, I'm at a New Year's Eve party. I don't drink. In fact, my one friend brought me O'Doul's. He's like, and all that did was make me want to actually drink. So he goes, I just said, I don't want this. I don't want to drink. This is gross. You know, I'm just putting carbs in my body for no reason. And then so one of his wife's friends came up to him innocently enough and says, here, just take a sip of champagne. Can you handle that? He got caught up in the moment and he took a drink. And then throughout the course of the night, he had a couple more drinks. He goes, I didn't get drunk, but I had a little bit of a buzz. He goes, and as I'm sitting there, and we're in New York City, he goes, and we're in Manhattan, nice, swanky, right? Especially a place to watch, you know, the New Year's. He's like, I'm not rich, but I got friends that have money, you know? He goes, so I get to pretend for a little while. And he's like, and I'm on this balcony. He goes, and I start looking around at the buildings. He goes, and I realize they're all vibrating. He's like, everything is shaking. I turn around, he goes, and I look, and I'm like, everything is vibrating. What in the heck? And he goes, and I go and I sit down, and I'm like, oh, no. So you got bubbles on your brain, right? My words. And he says, and I look at this bookshelf, and the bookshelf's just doing this. Everything else is starting to become normal again, but the bookshelf just keeps vibrating, keeps vibrating, keeps vibrating. And he's like, and I just kept focusing on it. And then he goes, I pass out. He goes, and when I do, he goes, it was instantaneous. He goes, I look up and I see that horse-faced female-looking creature, and she is literally like stroking my hair and then pulls my head back like at a weird angle on the couch. He goes, and all of a sudden I hear this scream, and she looks over and lets go, and his wife and her friend are sitting there and they're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Like, what just happened? Because they said his head just snapped back at a weird angle. And it was so bad that his wife thought his neck had broken. And it was so unnatural. And so his wife grabs him and takes him to the bathroom. And she's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And he says, look, I drank. And I don't think I should have. You know, and he says, and anytime he does anything at all, he said another time he was at work and a friend of his at lunch break gave him some pot. He's like, and when I smoked it, I saw something in the mirror. He's like, anything that can get me inebriated or anything like that at all. He's like, anything at all, any kind of like any sinful opening, you know, he goes, it's a doorway. He's like, and something always happens to me. So it is a lesson there to be learned from what he has gone through. He's like, and now he goes, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything at all. He's like, I don't live like a puritanical, you know, whatever. But he said, he goes, I am absolutely positive that what happened to me created a spiritual opening for these demonic entities who have stalked me. He goes, and there's at least 3, if not more, that he's seen. And during the time when he had when he smoked the marijuana, which was in between the time he drank and the time that, you know, the 2 times he drank, he said he saw that weird ram-headed looking thing standing in the mirror looking at him, observing him, and then he just snapped out of it, and he was, you know, out of the bathroom and down the hall. But that's his story. And now he's like, he goes, I don't miss a day. My feet don't hit the ground without praying. He goes, I'm a very devout Christian. He goes, and I was able to, before my dad and mother both passed away, get them to say the salvation prayer. He goes, they weren't really devout. They didn't practice like I wish they would have. He goes, but at least they accepted Christ before they passed. So there is that. And so that's his story. And if you want to go back and hear what happened to him, that was what I definitely am in agreement with him, that it caused this, I guess if you want to call him being haunted, then you can go back to the Patreon and watch the Patreon, and you'll see that was the beginning of this ordeal. So if anybody has any questions or comments you want to talk about it, hit me up here.
You know, the way these demons, these things that he was seeing, these attachments that he had, the way they're described as like combinations of like humanoid animal hybrids, they make me think of the what it says in the Kabbalah about how these demons, how they're compressed beings from another universe, and that's why they have these characteristics from different like animals, demons, humans. And what if that's the kind of ritualistic magic that those women who basically who held him hostage, basically, what if that's what they were doing?
I mean, you mean that the people that he was, you know, I don't want to talk about it
We
too
don't
much.
want to spoil it too much.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it in case they want to go watch the episode or listen to it. But
yeah,
you mean that it was Kabbalistic?
Yeah.
We'll never know. I mean, I don't know, and he doesn't know, so there's no way to say.
We don't really know the extent, because when you listen to the story, there's a lot of different weird kind of little things that, like, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what the whole purpose of what they're doing is. And even like some of the people there are just very weird.
And also because he was, you know, they had, in my opinion, they drugged him.
Oh, definitely.
For sure. And so, you know, and even he can't say 100% what caused it or what it was that they were giving him. But without a doubt, he had been inebriated. Rebecca says, which episode is it on Patreon? It hasn't
come out yet.
That's next? That's coming out next Tuesday?
Yeah, I believe so.
It'll be next Tuesday. So, yeah, check that out, and that will tell you the beginning of this. But if you don't do it, you don't do it. I mean, both episodes they're standalone on their own. But I just thought, you know, dude, especially back in a time when not everybody had a cell phone. No, they existed, but not everybody had one back in those days. And so if you're, you know, broke down or something, you know, be very cognizant about who, you know, like the other day we were driving and there was somebody broke down, you know, in the middle of the road. And it was like, we were with one of the workers, and he's a big old guy. I mean, he's a big dude. He's probably 6'2", probably weighs 350. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
And I'm a big dude. And Anthony, you're not little. So we all just thought, yeah, we're not going to stop. I mean, if this was years ago, maybe, but the way people are now, there's no telling what that person was up to. It was 3 a.m. or something, but he just, he was in a tight spot and he took help from somebody that he had made a mistake. He didn't realize, who they were and what they were up to. But it is a horrific thing that happened to him. So you can go back and listen to that on the Patreon on Tuesday and join the Patreon. You'll see, and you'll get a really cool swag bag out of it. And every 6 months you'll get another one with updated merchandise. So yeah, it's definitely worth it to do that. Sparky, what's going on, man? So the other day I was taken aback when I saw on the Paranormal Roundtable group, and someone had said that it was with a heavy heart that Lola had passed. And I haven't seen Lola in the chat. I don't know if that is
true.
I don't know if that's the same Lola that was that's our Lola that was always in the chat. Lola, if you're out there, hit me up and let me know that you're still alive and well, because that person didn't really I didn't get a whole lot of, I wasn't really understanding.
We're not sure exactly what's going on.
Yeah, so me and Tony were kind of worried about that. We don't know. So if somebody could tell me. And yes, my brother says to smash the like button and hammer some hearts to show some love. Please do.
I'll hit some hearts right now. Come join me, gang.
Yeah, Sean says she was on the other night. I just saw this maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and I haven't seen her in the chats or anything since then. I didn't see her Sunday, Monday, or today.
Yeah, we just want to make sure she's well, or if
Yeah.
Amy said she's going to email her. So Amy, if you can let us know if she gets back to you.
Because over the years we have lost multiple listeners and talked to their
family members. Yeah.
One most recently just really broke my heart. Young person. It was sad. From Texas too, and her mother, there was their only child, and so out of respect for her mother, I'm not going to get too far into it, but it was sad. That we had given that person a giveaway one time, and so if somebody wants to win though tonight, so here's the good thing about October too. What we're going to do, okay? We're going to do a mail off every week. We're going to try and do a mail off, and so we're going to do a giveaway every live in October. Without fail, we're going to do one. And this is the first day of the month, so let's pick a couple people. And at the end of this week, which is coming up pretty soon, so it'll probably the following Monday, we'll be mailing off. Monday or Tuesday. So, yeah. And Luke says, how do you get your name in green? How do you get your name in green?
You have to become a YouTube member, Luke. I don't know if you're on iPhone or Android, but if you're on your phone and you look down beneath where the video is at, right next to the bell icon or subscribe button, there's going to be a button that says join. All you got to do is click that button. You can become a YouTube member, or the little $sign button on the app, at the bottom right there by the chat. If you click on that, it'll give you the option to become a member, to send a super sticker, a super chat, to gift memberships. You can do that. Now, if you're on iPhone, for some reason, the YouTube app on iPhone, people are having a lot of trouble becoming YouTube members if they're using the YouTube app now on iPhone. So if you're on iPhone and you go to what's it called?
Safari.
Safari, which is the iPhone web browser.
Or if Justin here says, use the Chrome browser.
Yeah. But if you do that, you have to make sure that you're signed in to YouTube on your browser, and you should be able to see the join button there, and you can become a member that way. Or if you're on the computer, it's simple. There's always a join button if you're on desktop. So you can do it that way.
And we want to just say, we're very sorry that you guys have been cursed by using iPhone. So we hope you guys get better. But for now, we'll make do with what we can.
Yeah, we're going to pray for you in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, that you overcome the iPhone demon. Also, can we get the mods to post a link to the Patreon, Luke? If you're not a member of the Patreon too, you can join there as well, and you'll get access to another pre-record instead of just a members only pre-record. And after 2 months, you'll get a swag bag. There's a $10, $20, $30, $40, and $50 tier. The higher tier you join, the better your swag bag is going to be. You're going to get a shirt, hat, stickers, a keychain. If you're on the $30 through $50 tier, we have an exclusive tumbler. It's a black and copper tumbler with both of the PRT logos on it.
Tony. Grab one.
Yeah, just go grab one.
Okay.
And in each swag bag you get autographed books too. So, but after the first 2 months, you get your first swag bag. Now after that, every 6 months after that, if you just send us a message on Patreon, say, hey, it's been 6 months, and you'll get another swag bag every 6 months after that. So just stay on top of that. Make sure you send us a message after every 6 months, and we'll keep sending you these swag bags. Now, the swag bags are a good deal because each one, the value of it is worth well more than like twice what you're paying monthly.
Yeah, but it's a good way to support the show.
Yeah.
And you wear our merchandise, so you help us by advertising.
This is the Patreon exclusive tumbler right here. It's got both. Is it?
No, we can't. Yeah, it's focused, but we can't guarantee that if you're on the $10 or $20 tier.
No.
So 30, 40, 50.
It goes from top to bottom too.
We'll guarantee that
we'll
we'll get one.
And it's a very beautiful copper color. I think it's one of the prettiest colors we have of the
made
tumblers.
by Seven Clay.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've been partnered with them for a very long time.
The only way you get these is by becoming a Patreon member.
Only way. Yep. But you can win on the giveaway tonight. Just and let's put the banner up for the giveaway.
Yeah.
I got it. If you win anything at all, be sure and go to giveaways at PRTpodcast.com. PRT podcast. Giveaways at PRTpodcast.com. That's how you get your stuff, your swag. So if you have not won, let's start with people who have not won. Let's get started here. Who wants to win? Tell us, hey, I have.
Who's going to be the winner of the first?
Because this month we're in. What is it, Anthony? Spooky time?
Spooky Vision.
Spooky Vision.
Spooky Vision.
Even the podcast episodes with no visuals. It's just Spooky Vision.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror. Spooky Vision.
Listen in Spooky Vision.
Spooky, scary, scary.
So Beyond the Box says, I want to win. Beyond the Box, you don't count because you're a friend of ours, Brenda. So you just send me a list of what you want, and I'll send it to you. How about that? So, Brenda, you're going to win regardless. So, Brenda doesn't count. So, when Brenda said, just say, hey, look, I want this, a hoodie, whatever, I'll send it to you because you're a dear friend and you just went through a stroke. And so I'll send it to you. Okay? Same thing with the moderators. If you're a moderator for us, you don't got to win, whatever. But for those people who have not won, and I'll forgive you, even though your name isn't in green, like Adam and Wedge, because y'all have been around for so long, that I want you to. Now, here's what I want to do, because I want more people to be able to listen to the show tomorrow. Let's give away 10 memberships.
Mm-hmm.
So how we could do that is one of y'all has to buy them. Not y'all, but the people in the audience. Go ahead, do it. And we'll give away 10.
You give them away on our behalf.
Exactly.
And then those 10 people can thank us.
Exactly.
For being kind enough to tell you to do it.
Exactly. And also pay my taxes.
Yes.
Right. So here's one.
Actually,
is there so much to ask?
Actually, if you could do our taxes for us
and then pay us that sip in the cup, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And then do the TPS reports.
Yeah,
that would
I'm gonna need those taxes.
I'm gonna need those taxes done. Yeah.
Thank you, Sparky, again for gifting some more subs.
Sparky's awesome.
Some more memberships.
Mike Wells said I used to be a Patreon member and lost my shirt. What? What were you doing? Were you catfish noodling? You just lost it? JFA, he says, I keep winning for 3 months. Well, then you don't win this month then, JFA. That ain't very nice if you just keep winning. Are you donating it to Goodwill or what are you doing?
Have we picked Risky Precision TV? Because I feel like we picked them last time.
We did last time. Risky, did you send your information? Risky, just send your information and we'll make sure that you get something. So that's what you got to do.
Because I thought we told them show up next week or something and you'll win. Yeah, so
thank you so much for the
you're already a winner, Risky. Just
so then we'll pick Risky as one, and then we got and Beyond the Box, you already won. So we got 2 more. We'll pick 2 more people.
Mark and Cenas and Canitis.
Who?
Mark.
Oh yeah.
He says he hasn't won.
Who else hasn't won? How about this one? DL Vacrinos. Vacrinos. I'll pick you. You got a very weird, interesting name there, my friend. So DL, you've won. Tell them how to do it. The giveaways at prtpodcast.com. What they got to do?
Yeah, just send an email with your oh, thank you, Debbie Cawthra.
Hey, Debbie.
All you have to do is just send an email with your shirt size, your name, your mailing address to the email address scrolling right here at the bottom of the screen. It's going to say giveaways at prtpodcast.com. Anytime anyone wins anything from us, make sure you send us that information. That's the only thing you have to do to get your stuff. And we'll put your name on a list and we'll do the mail offs.
Steve Dutcher says, don't pick me.
Reverse psychology.
That reverse psychology is going to get you nowhere. That's it. Well, we're not going to pick you then, Steve. You've said it. Don't pick you. Who else do we got? And guys, I hope you stick around because I got a little more to say before we bail here. Anyways, y'all pick somebody else and I'll be talking while y'all decide.
Okay, let me see.
You pick Mark? Because
he already did. I thought he did.
No,
one more.
No, Mark said he hasn't won.
That's what I said. He picked Mark. That's it. Mark. That's so we got one more.
Okay.
Sparky says, what hats you got? Sparky, message me in private and I'll send you a hat or 2, whatever you want. Just tell me.
Ona Holly, have you won before?
Yeah, Ona's been around for a while.
Yeah, because you've been with us for a long time, but
Ricky says no, that was about the Patreon, but I'll send the info in.
Because if you haven't won a giveaway yet, then it's about time.
Oh, Wendy says she's still waiting for a PRT sticker. Really? Give her message me too, Wendy, and tell me what you want, and we'll make sure it happens. Today, this month, you're in luck because this month, and all the way till the end of the year, Christmas is coming up. Obviously, and we're going to be very generous at Christmas time. Thanksgiving, it's time to be thankful next month, and so this month, next month, and Christmas, we're going to give away a ton of stuff, a ton of merchandise, and we're going to do a ton of shows. So it's going to be a good time to be a PRT member and be a PRT person. Anybody else? Is that it?
I picked Ona Holly.
Okay. So then Ona, you win. And if you didn't get picked, remember, you might get picked again. We're going to be back on the air on Sunday, a live stream, and we'll pick 3 people on Sunday. We're going to do this every week all through October. And so we're going to be doing a lot of giveaways. But remember, don't forget, if you join the Patreon, you get the extra show, and then you get a ton of swag. You're going to get all kinds of stuff. And when the new hoodies come out, oh, man, we're going to be giving away hoodies starting in the middle of October. So be ready for that. One other thing. Here's what I wanted to tell everybody. If you've won giveaways down at the bottom, it'll give you the information. We need your shirt size, right? Mm-hmm. Your address, your real name, whatever. Here is what I'm going to tell you. There is a lot of mess that's going on in the world right now today, and it's no different in our community. And I'm not going to talk about anything. I'm just so tired of these people they want to be heard, right? They're the squeaky wheel that wants to get the grease. You're not going to get it from me. I don't care anymore what these people do or say. If you want to see it, go to PRT News and it's reposted right there, what they're doing and saying. I personally do not give a crap what these people do or say. And unfortunately, some people are being misled. They're being led astray by the lies. And there's nothing I can do about that. I see people that I once called friends buying into these people's ranting and raving and lunacy. But I will say this, and this is something that I talked about with tonight's witness, Scott. One of the things that he said that he had to do when he became a true Christian, a true follower of Christ, he said that he had to let go. And when he was talking, he talked pretty deliberate, and he was like, I had to let go. And I said, I think I know what you're talking about, Scott. I said, you mean you let go of the anger, the hate? He says, absolutely. All the grief I had. He's like, everything. He's like, my favorite person, he goes, was always my grandma and grandpa. They were my favorite people. And they had passed away. I never had the closeness relationship with my mom and dad like I had with them, because my happiest times were with them. I can relate to that. And I told him, I said, I was that way. I felt that way. So I kind of hit it off with him. And he told me, he says, one of the things that he learned about people, he's like, that whenever something bad happens to them, they always look around to see who they can blame for whatever bad thing happened. And I was like, I said, dude, you're speaking my language. And I said, you know, one of the things that I see is that whenever something happens to you, and I've said this before on the show, people have this tendency to externalize that and say, well, Fontaine did so and such to me and made my life bad. They never look at themselves and say, hey, maybe I contributed to this, or maybe my negativity contributed to people being the way they are to me, or the way that people have dealt with me, because you put that negative energy out there, and I'm guilty of it too. And then you get it back. You get back what you put out there. Then when it turns around and slaps you in the face, people have a tendency, they don't look and go, man, I should have done right with myself. Let me figure out who to blame. This person, you know, if they wouldn't have cut me off in traffic, I wouldn't be in a bad mood, and I wouldn't have ran in there and cussed out that other person at the place I was getting my egg rolls at and got beat up, you know? So now I'm mad at the person that makes the egg rolls, and I'm mad at the person that ran me off the road. Do you ever stop? Huh?
Mad at the egg roll.
Did you? Yeah. Inanimate objects. I'm mad at the toaster. It burned my toast. Do you ever stop and go, I did this. I set the toaster too high. I was driving too fast. You know, I was rude to the cashier, and I shouldn't have. I didn't know that they were a wrestling champion, you know, and got choked out, you know. I'm mad at the car that I'm driving. I'm mad. There's an external source has to be to blame for everything that's ever happened to me. Not once do these people, and I'm not talking about anybody specific. I'm talking about humanity in general. I'm really just talking about humanity in general. They don't stop and go, well, you know, maybe if I didn't do these things, like if I didn't eat all these certain sweets, I wouldn't be having problems with my blood sugar. If I had not been lazy and gone to the gym, I would be more flexible, more strong, more able to do these things. That is something that is very endemic in our society. It just seems to be like, you know, that's the order of the day. It's like whenever something happens, don't ever look at yourself and say, hey, I caused this, and I need to undo it by doing what is right. That's not coming into play with most of the population. I would say in our world in general. And so if you want things to happen good for you, get rid of the negative. Instead of saying, you know, I'm not going to allow this or that to happen. I'm not going to eat unhealthy. Do you know what your brain is doing? It kicks that negative out because it doesn't want to feed that to your spirit. So the brain is just sending to the spirit, eat unhealthy. Allow this and that to happen. Because it doesn't want to register those negativities. Get rid of those negative words. You know, no one can do this to me. And the brain is like, can do this to me. you know, because the brain is trying to protect you. It's filtering the spirit. It's trying to keep it from eating that bad whatever. And what I mean is, I know this is true because I've done this for years. When I get back on that positive affirmation, wake up every day and say, I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to do everything I can, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Now, if you're waking up every day and your job is to be a hitman or a drug dealer, I hope you fail. I hope that the negative absolutely happens to you and you are not able to achieve the things, because it's not correct. But if you are an average person is trying to live their life as righteous as they can, no matter what it is you're doing, whether you're laying bricks or a storyteller like me, and that's all I am. I'm not nothing special. I'm just a person who can retell people's encounters or get people to come on and interview them, or whatever it is that you do. If you're a horseshoer, a blacksmith, it doesn't matter. If you're a baker, right? Wake up every day and say, I'm going to make the best pastries that I could possibly make. I'm going to shoe this horse the best I can possibly shoe. I'm a football player. I'm going to catch the ball and run the best I can. Whatever it is you do, just affirm to yourself, to the universe, and to God, say, I'm going to do 100%. I'm going to give it 100% of whatever I'm going to do. And if I fail, I'm not going to blame the people around me or the people outside of myself, because I have to put myself in that position. You can literally set your life up to where you won't fail. You won't fail. Here at PRT, I say it all the time. We're winners. We win, you win, we all win. And there are people out there who are losers. But they are losers at life. It is by their choice that they lose. They don't wake up every day and affirm themselves and look in the mirror and say, I'm not perfect, but I'm a decent person, and I'm going to go out into the world and do decent things, and I'm going to add to the positive energy of this world. And I'm going to help my fellow man and woman, and I'm going to do everything I can to the best of my ability. Because Jesus didn't say, be me, or you go to hell. He didn't say that. He said, love covers a multitude of sin, and he says, strive to be like me, right? Because he knows that you can't be him. That is not your job. There was what one Christ. He walked the earth, and if you truly, truly follow who he was, you will get to where you need to be. He said, no man comes to the Father except through me. Do you know what he means by that? Do you really know what he means by that? He means to be like him and to follow his teachings. And when you accept that, you will go on the path you need to be. And life will start going boom, 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 boom. And all these things will come at you. 1,000,000 bad things will come at you. And you have your shield up. And it'll just go boom, 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 boom. And it'll bounce off. And you will stop caring. You will stop giving a crap about any of the negative that comes at you. Because it won't affect you. It won't. And then people are like, well, you know, he's got people fighting his fights for me, fighting his fights for him, whatever. Whether they do or they don't, to me, I don't really care what those people in the negative are doing. It doesn't matter. If your ratings are better than mine, good for you. Congratulations. Now, if you're doing it underhanded and sneaky, that's on you. If you're telling lies about us, you're not going to affect me. Ultimately, you might get a little bit out of it, but in the end, who's it really affecting? It's going to come back on you. And when you don't do what you're supposed to do, and you are a part of a collective of people, and I'm talking participating in the goodness of humanity, whatever you do, you will suffer if you do the wrong thing. If you allow yourself to be lazy and you allow yourself to be a reprobate, you're going to hurt those around you that you have entered into that collective with. And you're going to carry a karmic burden, a debt. And you're not going to shake it. And then it compounds and it compounds. And then these people go around walking in misery. Woe is me. My life sucks. Things aren't working out for me. Well, you know why it's not working out for you? It's very simple. You made a choice. You made a choice to be a dark, bad, or sometimes even demented person. Because when you do those things, you are demented. And you have to stop doing those things. Once you stop doing these things, your life will change like that. I'm going to tell you something else. Whenever somebody is so focused on hating or being angry at another group of people or at a particular person or whatever it is that they have to spend an inordinately large amount of energy to achieve that aim, to try to hurt that person or persons, right? So whenever you tell them, it would be easier if you just stopped blaming everybody else and looked at yourself and looked within and changed yourself. They don't want to do that. The main reason is because it takes a lot of work and a lot of energy, and these people have to spend all of this energy focusing on those other people. So common sense says, mathematics says, take that energy that you're using to focus on that object of your obsession, your hate or whatever, take it away from that person. Besides that, you're giving them energy that why are you doing it? And put it on you and focus that energy on you. Turn it towards yourself and work on yourself and solve the problems, the riddles, if you will, that are facing and plaguing you in your life. Because all that energy you're doing by focusing on somebody else, you're wasting it. It is a total waste. You might hurt that person a little bit, but in the end, you might stab them once or twice with a barb. But you got a bunch of barbs coming back at you, 7 and 10-fold. And you just keep hurting yourself over and over and over again. The next thing you know, you're tangled up in barbed wire, my friend. You ever been tangled up in barbed wire? It's not fun. I saw it happen to one of my friends one time. I had to cut it out and cut him. It's horrible. It's like getting a cactus in your butt, or whatever. Or here in Texas, mesquite thorns, which you will have to go to the hospital because it's poisonous. You are getting tangled up in something that you don't need. Stop worrying about whatever anybody else is doing and focus on yourself. Take all of that negative energy that you're putting out into the world that you need, obviously, you think you need to fight a war against these people. Take it and focus it on you and fix you. And all of that energy that you were wasting over there will now be focused completely on you and changing you and building your healthy relationship with God, with Christ, your family, your friends, and society at large. Imagine if you did all that. Imagine if all the people did these things. You can spend your life hating me. You can spend your life hating other people. You can hate football teams. You can hate the president. You can hate the politicians. You can hate everything about everything. You can hate Republicans. You can hate Democrats. You can hate liberals. You can hate right-wingers. It doesn't matter. Whatever the object of your hate is, it is absolutely wasted. Hate is a wasted, wasteful energy. And I refuse to participate in it. There is not one human being walking this earth that I hate. And there are some people walking this earth that have done horrible, horrible things to me and my family. They have said and done horrible things. And you know what I do? I wake up every day, and y'all can attest to this. I wake up every day and just smile.
It's a new day.
It's a new day. I'm going to get things done. Today I woke up and I said, I'm going to get things done. And it sucked at times. It did. But I went out there and I did it and I got it done. And now I'm like, I still got a lot more things to do tonight. I got a lot of things to do, but I'm happy. I'm relatively healthy. I got a beautiful family, not you two, but the other people. I got a beautiful family. I got wonderful pets. I got a wonderful life. I have people who care about me. I have a huge bunch of friends. I can't say enough about my friends. I have a lot of friends. I got, more friends than I could ever count on all the fingers and toes, of everybody in this room. I couldn't even tell you. And most people would be lucky to get 2 or 3 friends that would really cut for them and do things for them. I am fortunate to have dozens of people who will do that for me. Very resourceful person, people would say. But the truth is, they're good people. And God, by his grace and his glory, has allowed me to be friends with these people who have helped me. And I've helped them and returned the favor because that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be out there trying to do all kinds of horrible things and hamstring people and messing them up on their journey. That is a horrible karmic debt that you are accruing there. So if you are one of these people and you feel like I'm talking to you, I probably am. And I have appealed to you over and over again to do what is right. In the end, you have no one to blame but yourself when you continue to do the bad things. When you are given the choice, every day you wake up, you launch an attack on the object of your hatred. First and foremost, there should be no object of anything, of your desire, of your hatred, or your obsession. Because when you are doing that, you know where your focus should be is God. And your focus is on a man or his family or football or whatever, the politician, whatever anger you're hating, whatever it is that you despise. Yes, there are people doing horrible, bad things in this world. But if you sit there and you focus on that, you're giving all of your time and energy to something when you should be giving it to yourself, to your family, your children, your parents, your brothers, your sisters. You should be giving it to society at large. You should be giving it to your fellow man, to strangers that need help. And most importantly, and first and foremost, you should be giving it to God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit. That should be your main focus. When you set up a man or whatever it is, the focus of your anger, and you use that, do you realize what you're doing? You're committing idolatry. And you may say, no, I hate that person. Your hate is making that person into an idol. I don't want to be the focus of anybody's anger, because if you're focused on me, you're not focused on God. And that means that you are going to go somewhere not good. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say you're going to go to hell, because I don't know where you're going to go. But you're not going to go to be with the Father. And that's where you're supposed to try to get, because Christ is the one you're supposed to be following. And Jesus will tell you. You don't focus on man and the affairs of man. Another thing, I'm going to explain something to you. In the Bible, it says that God is not a respecter of man. So there is an energy there that emanates from God, and it is the power of the Holy Spirit. That energy is something that we can all use, but it can be used as a blessing or a curse. And what I mean by that is, if you say God bless you to somebody who's committing evil acts and doing bad things, they may feel it like it's burning their soul. That is called the power of conviction of the Holy Spirit. And you should never use that as the blessing, knowing that it can be a curse. If you say it, God bless you, you're not saying it so that hot coals will be leapt on their head. You say it because you really, truly hope that God blesses them, and he will bless them by turning their mind away from the reprobate mind, and that they will change and become decent people, and that they will have forgiveness in their heart for the transgressions that you committed against them, and you forgive them for the transgressions against you. So God bless them, and God bless my enemies, and hope that they have good lives, and that they stop the things that they're doing. The depredation has to stop, and that they will turn to God and ask for forgiveness, and forgive me, and forgive everyone that has that they feel has wronged them. And God will let you know whether you're out of line or not. But remember this, God is a power. And when it says in the Bible that he is not a respecter of man, think about it like this. Fire doesn't care whether or not you are using it to cook a steak, or if it's burning you at the stake. It's just a power. It is there. It is an element, and it is a power. The earth doesn't care whether or not you're growing food out of it or you're being smothered by it. It does the same. The air doesn't care whether it's chapping your face to where your skin is peeling off, or to where it's giving you life-saving oxygen. The air does not care whether or not your face is being torn up by it, or it's being a blessing to you. It doesn't respect you as a person one way or the other. Do you see where I'm going with this? Water doesn't care whether you're drinking it and it's a life-giving substance, or if you're drowning in it, because you aren't made to breathe underwater. These elements don't care. They don't respect you, and their job is not to respect you. Christ was sent here to love us and teach us about love, and to get us back to the source, which is God. And God's job is not to respect you as a person. His power, The ultimate power in the universe is there to divide the darkness, to defeat the darkness, and shed light where the darkness dwells. That is up to you to use that power. And it is not God's job to respect you. It is your job to respect him. And it is your job to respect his children. And by the same token, they should respect you back. And if they don't, it's not your job to run around and fight them and try to punish them. Your job is to follow the teachings of Christ. That's it. And that's all you need to do. And if you do those things, you'll be fine. That's all I have to say. God bless everybody. Thank you for tuning in to PRT. You, the audience, make the show. Without you, I'm just a man up here babbling, right? Can you imagine that? You're just doing a show and there's nobody there. You're just talking. Then later you realize you're in a nut house. So anyways, that's all I had to say.
I mean, it's not so far away. We got padded walls and everything.
Zupper77 is saying something very interesting here. He says, I struggle with God. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, Zupper? Do you care to elaborate? And this isn't a challenging thing. I'm just saying, if you struggle with God, what do you mean you struggle with God? Who is God to you, and what are you referring to? I'm a lost soul. Okay, Zupper, do you want to come on and talk to me? I'll give you a little bit of time here. I got to get going, but
I can post a link.
post the link. And if you want to talk, we'll talk. We don't have to do this in front of an audience either. We can do it in private or we can do it here. It would be better to do it here because other people can maybe learn from this.
All right, Zupper, I just posted the link in the chat. If you click on that link, it'll bring you on the show. Oh wait, my mic was muted. Okay, I just posted the link to the show in the live chat, Zupper. If you click there, it'll bring you as a guest on the show if you're comfortable with that.
Zupper, I can tell you this. I don't care who you are or what you've done. You could even be one of my enemies for all I care, because I don't have enemies. I just have people that look at me as an enemy. I don't accept them as enemies. We're not enemy combatants. He says, I have too much BS on my plate. We all do. Believe me, I got to go to work after this. And my job doesn't consist of just going and checking. I got to do a patrol route.
Well,
And so does Anthony, and so does Tony.
God doesn't put too much that you can't handle.
When you have a lot on your plate, spread it around to people that want to help. That's what God does. He sends people in your life, and that's what we're here for. And you don't have to be on video. You don't have to show your face. And I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. If you actually feel in your heart that that there is something heavy and weighing you down and burdening you, talk to me. And like I said, even if you're somebody who's been cursing me and saying horrible, I don't care. I'm not here to judge anyone. I truly don't. I don't hate. There is no hate in my heart. A person could stab me to death and I could be floating above my body and I'm still going to forgive them, because it's something, the burden is on them, not you. Move on. Exactly, Wendy. Even if I'm hated, that's exactly right. Because Jesus says, remember, they hated me first. The Pharisees killed Jesus. They murdered him. The Romans were the hand that did it, but they had it done. And nothing they can do can excuse them from what they did. But every day, through sin and through the horribleness that we do upon each other and to animals, I love animals, people commit horrible sin over and over again against the creatures of this world. And I think it's a terrible thing. It's an awful thing. And we excuse ourselves from it. And we need to look at ourselves. Everybody needs to look at themselves and say, what can I do? What did I do to cause this or participate in this? And if everybody takes their responsibility and takes it seriously, we could move up and move on and be done with the conflicts. The powers that be in this world have a vested interest in keeping us at each other's throats. Believe me, their world collapses as soon as we all work together. That's a beautiful thing. Read that, Tony.
One second. I struggle with God, with a God of my understanding, until I found these beautiful people in the cryptic community who helped me embrace the one true God. And I'm eternally grateful for you all who prayed for me.
Yeah.
That's what having a strong community is meant to do. You know, it's not just to come together and talk about scary stuff. It's really so that if you have an experience that's terrifying, or if you have doubts in faith, you have people that can share similar belief or have dealt with something similar who you can connect with, and in that find some way to overcome what may be bothering you, or maybe hopefully get closer to God. And that's what, you know, Wolf has tried for so many years to build. And I'm proud to say that, you know, it's all of you. That's really what it is. So, you know, we're hoping that we can expand and keep having this community be a strong, faithful, helpful group. But really, what makes us able to have that is all of you.
Zephyr says he has the highest respect for animals. So do I.
Yeah. If you know anything about us, we all love animals here.
Yeah, we're big time animal lovers, because animals, they can't speak. They don't have a voice. And it's up to us to be the stewards of this planet and to help animals. And I'm not some hippy dippy person that's full of crap. I just think that we mistreat animals in a way it's appalling.
Yeah.
So this guy says, I have a spirit attachment. It's a long story. Zupper, you would be shocked at how many people have them and don't even know it. At least you know it and you acknowledge it. You have my email address, Zipper? I'll send it to you. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. Paranormal Experiences, Josh Turner at PRTpodcast.com. Josh Turner at PRTpodcast.com. Reach out to me and email me. Send me your encounter. Send me your story. And maybe I can retell it. Maybe it'd be cathartic for you, therapeutic to you to tell me your story. And if you don't want me retelling it, then I won't. It's as simple as that. So I want to send a shout out to Tom and Cheryl, and thank you for being so kind, Tom and Cheryl, for always checking on Nellie and keeping up with us. There's so many people that are good people in this community, in the PRT community. And, you know, I get hit all the time with barbs and arrows, constantly under attack. I mean, I've been listening to somebody's show, and somebody on there will have a snide remark or comment about me and my work. I don't even. You have to have a thick skin. I don't even care. I don't care. Their opinion is what it is. Some people are really big, famous, popular people, and they've had something to say about me one way or the other. Yeah, I'm flattered, but at the end of the day, I really don't care. I don't care what their opinion is of me. What I care about at the end of the day is pleasing you, the audience. But what's more important to me than that is that you guys take away something positive. You learn something, and it's pleasing to God. That's the most important thing. And I'm not trying to sit up here and act like I'm some kind of holy man. I'm not. I'm a sinner. We all are. And the sooner everybody realizes that and stop holding everybody to this super high standard. You know, you shouldn't hold anybody to a standard you don't hold yourself. And sometimes people hold themselves to too high of a standard for anybody. And Zerper says he doesn't use email. Well, the link is there. If you don't want to jump on, I'm going to jump off. But we'll pray for you, and we hope that everything gets better for you. Thank you for that donation, Shadow. He says, I love PRT. Josh and family, you were the best. Prayers. And remember the story tonight. And if you're so inclined, go and join the Patreon and listen to what happened to this guy to get him to where he was at with this demonic attachments and these weird places that he went when he was dying, which to me, I think is a sliver of the abyss. That's my opinion. And if you've been a listener to the show, you know that we've talked a lot about a lot of things. Not everybody feels the conviction in their heart, of the Holy Spirit. But when you do, follow it. All right, guys, we're out of here. We love you. Good night.
Mother Mary, full of grace, full of grace. I don't want to be left in this place. I confess my sins again and again, brought down to my knees. Please, Father, set me free. I know you see all the pain inside me. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. I'm a sinner, from cradle to grave. Jesus, I hope it is I that you save the tears I've cried regarding my life. Please, Lord, don't cut me out of the book of life. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. My repentant heart bleeds, my spirit cries. I'm completely dying inside. My sins are great. I dread the fire lake. Forgive me. What will it take? Reach for me, oh Lord, in my weakest moment. All of thy own. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. I am guilty and filthy. Forgive me, take this pain away. I know I stray. My soul is tired with heavy burdens, no clergyman redemption. I stand alone, my sins ingrained into my bones. Heaven or hell, where will my soul dwell? Eternity is waiting for me. Jesus, I beg, have mercy on me. Rosary, Pater Maria, potens nimi.